Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Silent Hill. In the last part, we explored a lot of the shopping district, fighting 2 boss fights, or maybe 1.5 in the process, and now we're in the sewers, because every game clearly needs a sewer level. With that said, if I were to compare this is one of the more straightforward sewer segments. It's pretty short. The biggest annoyance is navigating it, as while there's not many areas to it, you can only walk along the extreme sides of any given part of the sewer. And what's annoying about that is that enemy type we just met right there, the hanging scratchers, these weird looking lizard dudes, as they are fast compared to you and a lot of other enemies in the game. And if you get stuck like going to a dead end on either side of the sewer or get stuck on one of the corners, it's very easy for them to catch them and just get a couple of cheap shots in. With that said, there is a lot of ammo along the way, and by this point you should have the hammer, hopefully, and the axe, so you should be fine with fighting them, because it's pretty easy to stun lock them compared to them stun locking you. Now, something I started talking about before getting distracted by the blood-sucking tentacles in the hospital. Silent Hill, like Resident Evil, has a bunch of novelizations, but unlike Resident Evil, the Silent Hill novelizations are more or less, I think, Japan only, and I don't think they were ever translated outside of maybe the occasional, like, fan attempt at it. And they do go out of their way to explain some very minor quirks of the game. For instance, Sybil gave us that handgun at the very start of the game, but why would the cop give us her only gun? It's because it's not her gun. She found it next to Harry in that alleyway, apparently. Which matches the fact that we did find handgun ammo in that very alley when we went to re-explore it later that same video, I think. Very minor details like that I like getting explained, no matter what the game is, because it just makes the experience feel a little more, not concrete, but well thought out, I guess. I know sometimes game developers work with game designers, and I think even movie creators work with people who are novelizing the movies to help explain some things. I do want to try and track down more video game-based books and vice versa. Like, most of the type of that I have, that's not like manga adaptations of certain games or like complete works sort of things. Like, I'm looking up, I have the Mega Man and Mega Man X complete works. I have the Hyrule Historia. I have the Star Force complete works, and that's really about it. Like, I want to track down more of the Resident Evil books. I want to track down a copy of Parasite Eve, because I hear the first game is just the best version of the work in period. Like, the book's apparently just alright, and the movie's just trash. But the first game's good. Parasite Eve 2 looks great. Doesn't exactly play too well. But I feel books are a better medium for games than movies tend to be. If only because I feel there's more care put into it and it's easier to fill in the gaps your own and not have to worry about wooden performances and stuff like that. Although I do sometimes appreciate the wacky game movies. Like, the Street Fighter the movie is fun. Mortal Kombat the first movie's good. But outside of that, like, it took until Sonic 1 to get a good game movie consistently. I haven't seen Sonic 2 yet, but apparently it's pretty good. Probably have by the time this is uploaded. God, the Mario movie just got delayed until around my birthday of 2023, assuming it doesn't get delayed again, and that means I'm probably going to see that on my birthday. Well, that might be my birthday present from at least one person, and that's terrifying. Now that I think about it, horror games tend to get more movie adaptations nowadays than non-horror games, because Resident Evil, Silent Hill had 2 movies. Resident Evil, not counting the canon 3D animated ones, there's, what is that, 6 or 7 total now of those? Alone in the Dark, Blood Rain's not exactly a horror game. It's just, that's an RPG-ish game with horror elements. Huh. Yeah, because even House of the Dead got a movie at some point, I think, right? I think it did. Sounds right. And I think they actually used the game footage in the movie at least one point. I think the biggest problem in general with the sewer in this game, though, is while it's one of the shortest areas and there's not many ways you can go, it's potentially the most samey-looking area in the game, partially intentionally so, because it's like a regulated sewer system. Because even a lot of the other dungeons in the game, be it the hospital, be it the school, be it the next major dungeon, which I guess is just technically the area immediately after this. There's enough landmarks that you can easily find your way around, plus the map's clear enough. The map here is so unhelpful because it just shows the outline of the area, not so much the actual pathways you can follow on, that it doesn't really work too well. The final dungeon in this game is a little weird, so I'm not going to talk too much about how good that one is. We'll talk more about that later. And in here, there's a silver exit key in the water. Take it? Sure. You know, theoretically, because of how easy it is to kill enemies in this game, that would be more threatening in a lot of other games. But just for hanging scratchers, like if you have, like the iron pipe or the hammer, its swing, it's horizontal swing, not so much the higher damage swing vertically down, can damage multiple enemies at once, so that's really not that threatening. Plus, once you knock one of them down and they don't immediately get back up, you can just, like, kick them. With that said, I believe that was a couple more of them spawning in that room, so let's just get out of there. Honestly, on your first playthrough, you're probably going to kill more enemies than I do in this playthrough. Because I'm just that anti-aggression in enemies in survival horror when I'm playing it on my own, usually. And it works out in games like Resident Evil, but Silent Hill, you are definitely meant to be more aggressive. It may have been me practicing for other upcoming LPs in a way. Wink. With that, though, we're done in the sewers. For now, sort of. Welcome to the resort area of Silent Hill. This is probably my favorite part of the game in terms of exploration, because it's the part of the game we're exploring not only nets you the most rewards because you get shotgun and rifle ammo and some good spades, but it's the only part where a lot of what you have to do here is optional. You can completely bypass the main part of the resort area here and head towards the lake, following the roads, and just go straight to the next major plot device. But if you want to get the good ending, or even the best ending, you need to do stuff around here on the northeast half of this map. And you don't need to, but I'm going to. To start, our first destination was Annie's Bar on the map. You can head to the other areas, but by and large, every other building in this sector is locked to start, so we can't exactly get around too well. And I think the enemies that are around here are usually the worm heads, the upgraded groaners, and some rompers. And if you're fast, you can just run right past them.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I guess so. But I'm beat. I thought I was a goner there. So how'd it go? Did you find a way out?
No, not yet. How about you?
Zip. But it's too soon to give up. This craziness can't go on forever. A military rescue squad should be here any time now. If they come through the town, we're home free.
I hope so.
I better get going. This isn't the time to stand around flapping our gums.
Do you know a girl called Alessa?
No.
Refuses to elaborate, leaves. That's actually all we had to do here in the bar, more or less, but there is one minor thing you're going to need if you want to have an easy access into the next area. You want to check near the enemy that we just killed there that was attacking Kaufman, and he must have dropped this. It looks like it's full of stuff, including the Kaufman key. And a receipt. Both of these are needed in order to get the best ending. More or less, at least. And if we check the receipts, It's a general store thought to have been dropped by Kaufman, and on it, 0473. That is a combination for a lock that we're going to need to know. Now, that enemy that was attacking Kaufman is an enemy type we'll be encountering more or less later on, but if you're playing the PAL version, you already have. That is a mumbler, or a clawfinger, I think they're also known as. They are what replaces the gray children in the school in the PAL versions. When we actually normally encounter the enemies, by and large, they are like what the wormheads are for the groaners, and the night flutterers are for the weird pterodactyl enemies. They just, I think, do a little more damage, are a little more aggressive, and I think have more health. By and large, enemies in this game, the enemy variety is a little lacking in Silent Hill in general, because it's usually like there's this enemy for this area. Silent Hill 2, for instance, has roughly like one new enemy per area, and they're only really encountered in that new area, more or less. Sometimes towards endgame, they'll start throwing every enemy at you in waves, sort of, but not much to worry about. The enemies aren't so often the active focus of the horror in Silent Hill. It's usually the atmosphere and the environment versus Resident Evil, where there's just a mass of zombies you have to try and get past, on top of some tension and other stuff. If anything, sometimes it's the lack of anything that's scarier. Now, we got a safe key right there. We can use that to open this safe right here. What is this? Drugs? Well, we've heard about that going around before. August 20th. He came by. I handed over the package that the woman left here. September 12th. He showed up in Norman's, too. Don't want to be involved with the likes of them anymore, but I'm getting creeped out even more than before. The thought of leaving town, but I'm afraid of what'll happen if I do. So the owner of this store was clearly under duress. 3 loaves of bread, 3 cartons of milk, 2 dozen eggs. Delivered to back door daily at 8 a.m. Rear entrance code 0886. Norman Young. So, clearly there's stuff going on at Norman Young's at Norman's grand opening, the motel. That's more or less to tell you your next destination after here is that motel just to our southwest. You gotta be a little careful on this particular trip, because this is where I think there's like 2 or 3 rompers, 2 flying enemies, and a wormhead along the way here, I think. This game is definitely good at fooling you with how many enemies could be chasing you at once, because not every enemy makes an active movement sound, or at least isn't as loud. Because sometimes, like, there might be a wormhead or a groaner on your tail, but you're only hearing the romper because of how loud it is. Now, when we approach the motel, you don't want to go through the front, because if you want to access everything, we need to use that code that we got right here at this terminal. 0886. Enter. And then quickly open the door before that enemy can hit me. Oh boy, that was close. And now we have entered the back end of the motel. And it's a magnet. We're going to need that to do anything here, more or less. I should note, newspaper, it's the same one. The date's the same one in the hospital. Investigation stalled. PTV dealer still at large. Suspicious deaths continue. Like the anti-drug mayor, our narcotics officer dies of a sudden heart failure of unknown origin. Well, we seem to have heard that before, because we heard that back at the police station. September 10th. Took baggage. Told to sit on it for a while. Didn't want to get involved, but can't disobey. He's probably linked to the death of the mayor and others. He's linked, huh? On a repeat playthrough, you can, by and large, just go straight to the code and enter it. Like, you don't need to witness that cutscene. You can just go meet Kaufman, come straight here with the 0886, and enter and do all this. Silent Hill 1 does not change its puzzle solutions at any point in time, unlike Silent Hill 2 and 3, where that depends on difficulty. So, in that regard, running through this game on repeat playthroughs can be just a matter of optimization of needing to grab which key items when. And I do like it when games can be optimized like that. With that said, let's take a look around the main part of the motel, as that's where most of the items we're actually looking for are. I want to say there might be a health drink stuffed somewhere in a corner, either in here or out here in the outer part of the motel, but don't quote me on that, because I'm not entirely certain. And Kaufman's key has the number 3 on it, so we're going to need to check room 3 here at the motel. Now, something I do like about this game as opposed to other horror games, and this goes more for the series in general, usually silence is used as a matter of tension. Whenever it's silent, you know something's about to go wrong. Silent Hill kind of turns that on its head. Whenever it's silent in Silent Hill, usually you're as safe as you're going to get. And I appreciate that difference of use of sound design. Well, it seems like there's nothing in here, but I believe there's meant to be a blood mark you can see somewhere in this room, somewhere. But we can push the shelf either way. Yeah, it looks like there's something beneath it. Let's take a look at that. There's a crack. Something glints inside, but the crack's too small to reach in. Well, thankfully, we just found a magnet, so let's use that. Yeah, we got the motorcycle key. Well, we just saw a motorcycle, so I think you know where to go from here. Though, doing this section always reminds me, one of the first Let's Plays I saw of this game was from, of all people, I think Phaelus, formerly of Channel Awesome, back when Channel Awesome... No, it wasn't even Channel Awesome yet. It was that guy with the glasses.com still. I watched an LP that he did of this years back. Wonder how a lot of the old Channel Awesome people are doing. I don't follow a lot of them anymore. Outside a lot of them just stopping making stuff, period. After the whole thing happened, I just kind of stopped following the main ones, especially. But here's the motorcycle. Let's use the motorcycle key. A small glass vial wrapped in a plastic bag. What's this? It looks like the busted vial I found in the director's office at the hospital.
Give me that.
What is this?
That's none of your business. Instead of messing with that, how about coming up with a way to get out of here? You shouldn't be hanging around here goofing off. What do you think you're doing? You want to get yourself killed? Get out of here.
Okay, take it easy.
Unless you want to die, keep your mind on business. Got it?
That guy's gotta be involved in the local drug racket. Man, he was pissed and in such a rush, too. That was probably dope in the bottle. Anyway, better let him do as he pleases. There's more than my life at stake. I guess I wasted my time. Better hurry. I'm worried about Cheryl. And with that, we are now on track for the good ending. Either of the two good endings, in fact. To get the best ending, you need to do something at a particular junction coming up. You can completely ignore this. In fact, it is faster to just completely ignore it, but you will get just a worse ending, period. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 9, where hopefully we'll have more atmospheric sound than just pure silence, we're going to head towards the lake to see if we can find Cheryl down there. See you guys then.